Hello and welcome to We the People. The silver lining of the pandemic, if there was one, would be that we saw blue skies over Delhi and the NCR again. Due to factories shutting down and traffic levels plummeting during the lockdown with the world's most populous cities shutting down, cleaner air was an unintended consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Air pollution levels dropped by 60% in New Delhi. Delhiites got to experience not just how beautiful our capital is, but we also felt the difference in air quality on our lungs, on our children's health and our doctors' bills. Everyone was talking about blue skies on our WhatsApp groups and on our Instagram accounts, and it presented an opportunity for long-standing change. This winter has started off on a clean note too. We've had about 5 good AQI days in the first 2 weeks of October, and that happened because we had this unusual extended rainfall period, but its effects have started to wane. Pollution levels have been building again. The pollution levels are now at the precipice of going back to pre-pandemic levels. The levels have started spiking in Delhi and the NCR right now, just around Diwali, which also marks the beginning of the winter season. Can we tackle air pollution beyond COVID-19? It is crucial that we don't lose this opportunity while our memories are still fresh about what a sky normally looks like, what a sky looks like in other countries, what a sky should look like. Joining us on the show, we have Bhavreen Khandari. She's an environmentalist and a member of My Right to Breathe. We have Shambhavi Shukla, Deputy Program Manager of the Air Pollution Team at the Centre for Science and Environment. We have Dr. Ashok Seth, Chairman at the Fortis Escorts Heart Institute, Head of Cardiology, the Council of a Fortis Group of Hospitals. Dr. Vijay Jolly, a leader with the BJP. Shibani Ghosh, environmental lawyer and fellow at CPR. Mudit Agarwal, Vice President of the Delhi Pradesh Congress Committee, spokesperson of the Congress too, Asad Abbas, an AAP supporter. Bhavreen Khandari, first I want to start with you. Let's start with some good news. On a positive note, we have the Delhi government that has banned the production, storage, sale, bursting of crackers this year, as well as they put in fines and jail terms in case of violations. Though, of course, we are hearing reports of people who are being clandestine sales during carrying on unabated, etc., in our busy markets. Anyone bursting firecracker zone, the national capital, till January 1st, the new rules say, can be fined 200 rupees and jailed up to 6 months, while sale, storage and production of firecrackers will attract a fine of 5,000 rupees and imprisonment of up to 3 years under Section 9B of the Explosives Act. So, Bhavreen, I say this is positive news because it's been years that we've done shows and we've had you on these shows and we've had kids who've been part of the campaign saying we're not going to burst crackers, asking for a ban. We finally have one. So what are you expecting over this weekend? When Diwali hits, is this serious? Put this in perspective. Have we actually come one step forward? Is this at least a good start?
Yes, Sarah, of course, we are, like you said, very, very thankful, and we are here, battling an issue like crackers for like almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
It's, I think, one of those strongest campaigns from schools that started and did well for children. But unfortunately, the adults didn't, follow that so well. And here we are. And okay, we are not in denial anymore. And our government is leading, which is a very good sign. But it's always a little bit too late. First you offer licenses, then you let them buy the crackers, and then the crackers are already there, and then you ban them. It's really not one, fair on the traders, and two, that you are giving an opportunity for some kind of.
But can we see the writings on the wall? So let's say next year the traders should not come up with this argument that
until we come to an AQI 60, under 60, crackers should be banned.
Okay, but they should know that, look, this is what happened last year, and if you have good economic sense, you would know not to invest in crackers, for example, because there's a high chance that it could happen again.
Sarah, we are in a public health emergency, and it's not, when the trolls come and say that to us, crackers, it's not only crackers, a moratorium on tree felling or extreme. I mean,
absolutely.
We have to, it's in a public health emergency, we have to treat it like an emergency.
So it's not just crackers.
It's not just
interesting
crackers.
To see
and it's
what
not
the
just
pollution
crackers for
levels
Diwali.
are.
It's about your cricket match. It's about the weddings. It's about Christmas. It's about Eid. It's about
everything. But perhaps it'll be interesting to see if the ban is enforced and followed, will there be a difference in pollution levels? That'll be something all scientists, analysts, experts
you don't even need experts for
watching
that.
out
We've
for.
been here, we've lived here, we've seen it, we've had, and I think probably everyone in the distant family, friends have seen people rush, especially the senior citizens and the little children. You know, I've had friends. In fact, 1 year when the first year the ban happened, I told her, no need to go out of Delhi. Come on, stay this time and let's all be here. And he went through he went to an emergency that year, and she said never again. Okay. And the child is down with dengue now this time, and she's here and she's very worried.
Mr. Jolly, on Thursday, the Supreme Court refused an urgent hearing of a petition seeking a removal of this ban that was filed by a BJP MP. The court said, this is the court's words, let the people of Delhi breathe clean air. People should not spend money on firecrackers. Instead, they should eat sweets. Why would the BJP MP, push for this removal of the ban? Why should your party oppose this? And please don't say Hindus need to burst crackers, because you can also just light a diya.
Please don't put words in my mouth. It will be the member of parliament who has filed such a petition would be in a better position to reply to your question. But I wish to state on 6th November 2019, the Delhi Chief Minister had stated on record, and I'm showing a clipping on the BBC widely reported in the newspaper. Delhi pollution is down by 25%, stated the Delhi Chief Minister. Delhi is the only city where pollution is going down instead of increasing. We all believed him, irrespective of the fact that Dr. Vijay Jolly is a firm BJP supporter for the last 42 years. The Aam Aadmi government came into power in December 2013, and every day, in and out, we were hearing regularly stubble burning in the neighboring states of Haryana and Punjab is creating a pollution dangerous levels in Delhi. Now in Punjab, the Aam government formed the government on 19th March 2022, and this government itself had announced a 10-point winter action program on 4th October 2021, in which the only one point which I wish to state through your TV channel was the claim of the Delhi government to develop the India's first e-waste eco park in Delhi. It is up till 9th of July 2022, after lapse of 9 months, this non-serious Aam Aadmi Party government, which bends in allegation in mudslinging, has not even started that promised eco waste park in the capital, which would have dismantled, refurnished, recycled and manufactured the e-waste in an environmentally sound manner. And also in Sangam Vihar, which is the predominantly largest unauthorized colony in the capital, I had got a survey conducted by the Central Pollution Control Board in 2018, and the pollution level was found at the level of 332 PM10 level, and all my stations are
ironically, the Aam Media Centre has not been able to send us a representative of the government to take on these charges of Mr. Jolly, but we do have Asad Abbas, who has kindly joined us on the show. He's an AAP supporter. He has his finger up. You do want to say something in response. I want to give you a quick response because I want to stick to the important issue that Mr. Jolly has raised about stubble burning, and then Bhavreen, you were disagreeing, so quick 20-second response to you. Go ahead, Mr. Abbas.
So, as you have always believed, with great power comes great responsibility and even bigger accountability. The fact of the matter, this gentleman supporting the BJP, the leader, states the point of a stubble burning. Respected sir, let me take 30 seconds and close this duplicity and hypocrisy and double standards of the Bharatiya Janata Party. What was it decided to compensate for the farmers per acre? 2,500 rupees to be provided. 1,000 rupees from the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab, which Bhagwant Mann released. Why didn't the centre release 1,500 rupees to the farmer? Respected sir, when you speak of the stubble farming, kindly come to the facts of the matter. Also, as a matter of fact, when Gopal Rai, the environment minister, of Delhi wanted to have a meeting with the Ministry of Home Affairs, wanted to come together, blur the political lines, have a meeting with the Haryana Chief Minister ML Khattar, with the Ministry of Home Affairs. Why aren't you willing to even pay heed, sir? This is not about Hindu Muslims, sir. This is not about Aam Aadmi Party and Congress and BJP. This is about me and you.
Fine. I don't want this to descend into this political tutu meme. So, Bhavreen, quick response only because you were disagreeing, and then I want to go across to our experts.
I can't believe, I mean, my, learned co-panelist, I mean, how can you compare an eco park to an AQI that's killing, you know so much statistic. Do you know that every third child in Delhi has damaged lungs? And we should be doing everything to work on every source of pollution. It's not crackers, it's not when the crackers are being burst, it's about every source of pollution. Whether it is you're giving extension to thermal power plants, or whether you are burning stubble, or whether it's your vehicular construction, whether you are engaging with deforestation,
being done only around Diwali. We need to
and it's not Diwali, it's every child. That means your child, your grandchild, my child, one of us here, Sarah's child, every third child has damaged lungs. Doesn't that bother anyone here?
Shambhavi Shukla from CSE, please come in. You know, several farmers have pointed out that stubble burning only takes place for about 10 to 15 days in a year, while you have smoke from vehicles and factories emanating throughout the year. My simple question to you, after years of studying this, have we been misdirecting our energies, if we want the maximum effect?
So, Sarah, see, what happens is we all are aware of what kind of sources are actually present in Delhi and what is impacting Delhi's air quality. There is a number of days specific where stubble burning is actually like the main sources of pollution. But then there are certain actions that has already taken place, that is there in place, that is happening on the ground. But then this early winter, this time is actually an alert, is a wake-up call for more stringent preemptive and preventive measures to basically to avoid the smog episodes that cause excessive exposure and health risk during winter. Like Bhandari, like directly, she also mentioned about the health of the people that's impacting every third child. So that is what exactly should be the main thought behind every government to look up to different sectors of pollution. Like even the IITM suffer that releases continuously forecast. And also recently, from the last year, they have started showing that what kind of sources are impacting Delhi's air quality. So even among the local sources, it's more than 50% is the contribution from our own transport sector. So it's a festival season, of course, but then the actions on the transport sector is a little lagging. But then we can't let up on, we are in no way saying that, okay, remove the ban on firecrackers. This has to be a cumulative, all year round, crackdown on pollution. But let's bring in Shubhani Ghosh, an environmental lawyer and a fellow at CPR. Interestingly, this week there was a shocking report that said that individuals representing polluters were on the boards of the state pollution control boards, while scientists, medical practitioners and academics were only 7% of the members. Does this not, apart from the issue of conflict of interest, are we even taking this problem seriously?
Thank you so much, Sarah, for actually bringing in this institutional aspect, which I think is often ignored when we are talking about specific sources of pollution. And you're absolutely right. Our study recently showed that more than half of the board members in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and this study looked at the states in the Indo-Gangetic Plain, which as we know, is one of the most polluted regions in the world. They have representatives of local municipalities, we have representatives of industries, industry associations, corporations, all of which are potentially polluters. And on the other hand, each board under the Air Act of 1981 is supposed to have at least 2 members with expertise in air quality. It's in the law. And we found that of the 10 boards that we were surveying, only 3 were even able to point to people who they thought were air quality experts, and actually were not able to provide evidence to support that. Added to that, since we're talking about boards, and Sarah, you're absolutely right. I think we're missing the big picture. Most of the chairpersons and member secretaries don't have long enough tenures, stable tenures. Several states don't even have full-time chairpersons and member secretaries. And we are trying to tackle an epic, a public health emergency of such an epic proportion. How are we going to do that if the member secretary is in his position for 15 days? We have states which have tenures of 15 days for member secretaries before they're transferred out. And chairpersons and member secretaries are typically the people who lead the board, kind of guide the planning and functioning. The rest of the board is not a full-time board. And even persons don't really enjoy the tenure, the kind of stable long-term tenure that they need to have.
I'm glad you're bringing this up and we're able to, include this layer in the show, because everyone keeps saying, oh, you keep going after the firecrackers, you keep going after certain communities, and it's not that. It needs to be a comprehensive all-round exercise, because who are picking up the slack are the doctors. Let's bring in Dr. Ashok Seth joining us. They're paying the price because they're working round the clock. Dr. Seth, this is going to be our first regular winter after COVID. Thousands have been affected by COVID. How should we be prepared? We hear so much about long COVID. Is this something that we should be worried about, or is this just, can we go back to business as usual?
If you're talking about the pollution, and I'm only going to talk as a doctor, we at the moment believe that we've got a better air quality just because we've been past the rains.
Yeah.
And the worst is still to come. But even if I was to tell you today that the PM 2.5 is at 60 micrograms per cubic millimeter, which is 10 times the more than the WHO recommended safe zone, you'd be quite shocked. And the worst is still to come.
Yeah.
This PM 2.5 is going to rise exponentially, unfortunately, due to firecrackers which are going to happen and stubble burning. So we actually deviating away from the realization that this is actually what they used to call, these are the smoke infernos. These are like we're in a gas chamber. Every 10 micrograms per cubic millimeter increase of PM 2.5 causes an increase in heart attack, even in a short term, of 2.5 times increase in heart attack, 2.5 times increase in heart failure and deaths. Can you believe that? And this is going to rise up 10 times more in the next few days. So people who already have heart disease, people who have already got coronary artery disease or have heart failure are going to suffer, and we're going to see them coming in increasingly with heart attacks, with acute coronary syndromes, as we say, sudden deterioration, and with death. I must also tell you that it's well proven. I mean, we are actually, the gas chamber is a combination of this PM 2.5 and the carbon monoxide that we actually taking in, the sulfur dioxide that we're taking in. This actually causes inflammation within the whole body. It not just causes that, it causes arrhythmias, heart rates going suddenly fast and suddenly slow. These are well documented facts, and that also leads to death. We also want you to understand, everybody to understand, that heart failures, hypertension, blood pressure increase, even diabetes can be caused by this pollution. So, something which is, you raised this issue about COVID. We've been emphasizing masking. And truly, we live in a gas chamber where from now on, it's not the N95 for COVID that we'll need to use.
The pollution mask.
We will actually be using the N95s, encouraging people to use it more for the pollution which is coming than for COVID which has gone by, because actually we are now getting to truly dangerous levels. One more fact that I want to emphasize, and we've been harping about the increase in heart attacks in younger people over the last 15 years. How many have we, discussions have we held on that? And we blame these youngsters for their lifestyles, for not exercising enough, for eating bad habits, and so on and so forth. But do you know that I am convinced that a part of that increase in our youngsters has been related to the increased pollution over the last 10 years. The fact that it causes heart attacks over a longer period of exposure is well documented, and unfortunately, our youngsters have been suffering far more in these times because they're out on the roads, they're actually using public utility vehicles, they're in their motorcycles, they're in the biggest pollution situation that the country has ever created. And if the world considers a gas chamber, yes, then we are a gas chamber, and unfortunately, we're not realizing that we're actually putting it away. We're not even putting it at our guidelines. We're not even putting it saying this is one of the biggest factors for heart disease, heart attacks, diabetes, and hypertension, which we are the world capital of. And one of that is pollution that we live in.
Dr. Seth, thank you so much for joining us. And folks, this is a doctor. He has no political affiliations. He has no hidden agenda. Hospital bills go up, but he's here to warn us that this is a serious problem. And we should be listening to him, even if you don't want to listen to any of the other panelists on this show. Thank you so much, Dr. Shambhavi Shukla, come in over here, because we keep talking about health issues, right? But there's a steep cost because, as the doctor was pointing out here, if everyone's going to hospitals, it's coming out of our monthly budgets. There's a cost that pollution extracts even on economic growth in India, right? I've read somewhere it was 1% of our GDP. Why do we still view pollution through the prism of health and environment while we ignore the economy? Surely the government should at least be wanting to tackle this problem for that.
So recently, if you have seen that in 2019 itself, there was a study by Lancet, and which clearly mentioned about how much money we are losing in terms of hospitalization or in terms of whatever implications on health that people are having because of increase in the air pollution. But then the problem with right now with people are like there is a lack of awareness. Like they know that there is air pollution, but then when they have to actually relate this air pollution to other factors, for example, maybe health is one of the factor and the other is the economic cost. So that is how they will be made aware.
So we have to make the correlation. Okay.
Yeah.
Shivani Ghosh, can you add to that? And then I want to go across to our guest here in studio, Mudit Agarwal.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right, Sarah, that there is a problem when we keep considering air pollution to be an environmental issue.
Yeah.
It's not just an environmental issue. And when we do that, the biggest, I mean, there are two implications of that. First, we inevitably fall under that unhelpful construct of environment versus developmental imperatives. And therefore, then there's this problem where we need power plants because we need... There is a point after which power plants have to comply with the emission norms. And then the second problem is that air quality becomes the problem of only environmental regulators.
Yeah.
It's not just the problem of environmental regulators. It's not just the problem of pollution control boards and environmental departments. It's also the problem of other ministries which are, for instance, supplying fuel. Ministry is responsible for public transport. Ministry is responsible for infrastructure. So you're absolutely right. It's not just an environmental issue. I'm glad public health is now coming into the public discourse. It, in fact, isn't as much as it should be. Exactly what you were saying earlier. The boards, for instance, don't even have representation from the public health sector or from the medical fraternity. They're not the policy-making process.
You know, but even as you point out, it leads into this debate about whether you should have development versus the environment. But China has managed to solve its air pollution problem, and they're still like an economy that's way bigger than ours. So I'm not sure even if that argument holds. But lastly, before we run out of time, we have a spokesperson of the Congress over here. Thank you for being patient. I just want to get your stand on this because, again, I want to point out that the AAP somehow didn't send a representative. But now as you're sitting on the sidelines, how do you see this playing out?
See, I would firstly talk as a member of Congress party, also as citizen of Delhi. Look, there's a lot of politicking which is happening in this between our party or BJP. Every governments have a role in this. Opposition has a role in this, as well as people of Delhi have a role in it. Let's understand what the problems in Delhi are. There are Delhi-specific issues which have to be tackled by the Delhi government and the central government. There are wider North Indian issues. Those have to be tackled. If you really look at the data in Delhi, vehicular pollution, from summer to winter, there is a difference. So pollution caused due to vehicles is 18 to 23%, depending on summer or winters. And secondary, dust pollution and other can contribute from 17 to 26%. And even other like biomass, burning of coal or your tandoors, you have wood that you burn, varies from 15 to 22%. And construction and dust, again, 34 to 15%. So you have to look at every segment and tackle them.
All right.
So how will it be? Give me 1 minute. Sure. How will it be tackled? It will be tackled. Firstly, you have to be truthful. Now, what we've been hearing for last 5 years from Kejriwal government is that everything is to do with stubble government, stubble burning, which was happening in Punjab.
Yeah.
Now, what happened to stubble burning? You have 68 lakhs of stubble decomposer, which was bought by the Kejriwal government, but he spent 23 crores in that. Why haven't you improved the city infrastructure in terms of transport facilities? What have you done about the metro phases are running late? Phase 3 and phase 4 are over 2 years late. You need an integrated approach, but I'm sorry, the governments are only indulging in headline management. They are going from one headline to the other, and I would really request the media also, keep this spotlight on the pollution issue 24/7. You see, the problem that happens is during winters, everyone talks about pollution.
All right.
But you know amount of pollution which is killing people even in summers.
Yeah.
But there's no talk.
Yeah.
Talk will happen at this time for next 2 months, and there'll be no talk after that.
What we all, one thing we agree on, we need sustained efforts through the year to control the problem, not just blame it on the bursting of firecrackers or stubble burning by farmers, but pollution caused by power plants, vehicles, that also needs to be addressed, infrastructural measures for the use of clean energy, electric vehicles, all of that needs to be put in place. We need a long haul solution to this problem, not just during the winter season when it gets worse. As Congress spokesperson has pointed out, we need to build infrastructure to accommodate electric vehicles, strengthen the public transportation systems, focus on clean energy solutions, combat the bigger contributors, and this really requires efforts throughout the year. Thank you all for joining us. Delhi is running out of clean air to breathe with each passing day. This is an important topic. Thank you for joining us on We the People tonight.